It's mind-blowing that nobody's talking about this. There's a $240 trillion system, bigger than the entire world economy, growing faster than anything we've ever seen, and it's hiding in plain sight, but nobody's talking about it yet. What I'm about to say might be deeply disturbing to you, and I apologize for that, but it definitely has the potential to affect your financial situation, so I encourage you to listen carefully and take notice. So picture this. There's this $240 trillion system. It's called shadow banking, and one wrong move and it could wipe out the entire system. Your savings, crash the markets, and make 2008 look like a blip on the radar. And you want to know the craziest part? People in this world see this problem coming. They see it looming, but the Federal Reserve is preparing a $2 trillion bailout for these hedge funds. Now, my fellow citizens, we cannot let that happen because that's going to be our tax dollars paying to bail out the people who have been ripping us off. In just 7 years, this tower right here will be the second tallest building in New York, towering over JP Morgan, the world's richest bank. But this is not just a building. This is a sign of the times that we're in and the things to come. A sign that shadow banks like Citadel are taking over. They're powerful, they're risky, and they are barely controlled or regulated. So what exactly are shadow banks, and why should you care? Stick around and find out, because your financial future will depend on it. Shadow banks are like regular banks, but on steroids. They lend, they invest, they trade, but without any of the regular rules. So that ultimately means bigger trades, bigger risks, and of course, bigger potential disasters. And here's why you should be scared of it. They're directly connected to your trades, your 401k, your investment, your retirement account, your savings. Right now, shadow banks control more than $240 trillion globally. That's literally more than every country's GDP combined. Let that sink in. How's that even possible? And here's the funny part. Since 2008, these shadow banks have exploded in size. I mean, how's that possible? Didn't we regulate the banks after that? Didn't we put measures in place to control this out of control speculation? Nope. Don't be silly. A normal bank like JP Morgan Chase or even Goldman Sachs, they traditionally grow slow and steady, for banking standards, but these shadow banks grow at a massive, rapid pace, especially since 2008. It's getting crazy. Like Citadel, $65 billion hedge fund that's made $83 billion in profit since its existence. That's more than any other hedge fund in history. But here's the kicker. They borrow at least $12 for every dollar they actually have on hand. And some people say it's kind of like the thing where you put the wire across the two buildings and you're walking the tightrope, and if they fall, we all go down with them. This is literally a giant casino. We've had easy, loose monetary conditions, so they've been able to take advantage of that. They're making billions of dollars with money they don't even own. But unlike normal banks, there's no safety net, there's no planned government bailout. And like I said, they're completely tied to your 401k, your retirement fund. So if they go down, you go down to with them. You're screwed. In 2008, when Lehman Brothers went down, the world lost $2 trillion, but we're talking about a $240 trillion market here. I started looking into shadow banking because I know you're not going to, but it is so much worse than I thought. The name is perfect for it because it sounds crazy and scary, and it is crazy and scary, worse than you could have imagined. And this is not just Wall Street's problem. This is your problem. If these guys go down, your savings could be totally wiped out, and I'll tell you why in a second. They're using your money to gamble. If you're somebody who thinks the market's never going to go down, think about what happened in 2008, obviously. Think about what happened in COVID. Unexpected things happen, especially with these tariffs, especially with the people who want Trump to fail. There might be an unexpected event that makes the market go down, and the slightest little movement can throw this whole 12-to-1 debt ratio way off and put these guys underwater. Let's zoom in on Citadel for a second. So they're the king of shadow banking, right? Made $83 billion since 1990. Ken Griffin, the CEO and founder, is worth $33 billion. They trade everything, everywhere, all at once. Remember them from the GameStop situation? Crazy smart, like the smartest guys out there. I remember hearing one time that Ken Griffin, when he was in college, he started trading that early on and was investing for his professors to get good grades, so they would just pass him. He was making them thousands of dollars as a college kid. So he's a smart dude. But even they borrow very big. They're very leveraged. And no matter how smart you are, whenever you have a huge ratio like that, 12-to-1 debt to cash ratio, you're subject to potential big problems. And then, they say they have a lot of cash reserves and this whole bond strategy that makes them more insulated and more safe from the risk that people worry about. But things happen, guys. Unexpected things happen all the time. Now, here's the big, dirty, filthy, disgusting secret that nobody tells you about that's going to really piss you off. So shadow banks, they borrow money from the money markets that you invest in. The average person puts money in money markets that gets promised 3 to 5% per year, complete safety, no risk, and these dirty, risky banks grab that money and go out and gamble with it. There's like $11 trillion worth of money in these money markets, but if a hedge fund takes a fall using this money, it could wipe the whole thing out. And of course, these money markets are attached to 401ks, retirement funds, pensions, like they're attached to everything in one way or another. Like they invest on behalf of retirement accounts, like the police retirement fund, like the firefighters, etc., etc. They are in everything. And worst of all, in my opinion, the Federal Reserve is already preparing to bail these guys out. Some are saying they're ready to spend as much as $2 trillion to bail these hedge funds out for their reckless speculation. Now, how the hell are we supposed to get change in the system if they're going to bail hedge funds or banks out every time they make a bad decision or risking your money, and then you're the one who pays for it? I think that Trump should get in the way and stop the bailout from happening if they end up trying to do this, but of course that comes with a whole variety of unintended consequences. Like, you never know what these things bleed into, but we gotta let this thing come down at some point. We cannot keep putting these guardrails in the markets. Like, when a forest fire happens, the best way to prevent a forest fire is to let small brush fires happen, where you have controlled burns and get rid of the stuff that's super flammable. But when you don't do that, like California with these past wildfires where they stopped doing their brush fire burnings, the stuff piles up, and then when it actually does happen, one little spark creates a giant statewide fire. So that's essentially where our financial system is right now. Like, we've put out these fires prematurely, haven't let controlled burns happen, and now we have this big giant swath of flammable financial junk, and the slightest unexpected thing sets the whole thing up in flames. There was a time where I knew absolutely nothing about finance or economics or the markets, and then 2020 happened, and I watched them print several $1 trillion, and then I decided, you know what, I need to know everything about this stuff because these people are predatory. They're gonna bleed you dry of your money because they know how the system works and you don't. So I said to myself, you know what, I'm gonna make sure I know everything possible about this so that I can either take advantage of situations or protect myself. So I read over 250 books just on finance, markets, economy, day trading, etc. Everything. Financial crimes, scandals, the good and the bad. I'm going over some of these books in my book club on Minnect, but I will also give you guys a detailed list of every finance book that I've read and I found great value in. And I dearly wish that somebody told me to read these books far sooner than I did. Would have made a lot more money than I have. But if you want to know more about the market and finances, go to the book club. I will leave the list for you there. If you want to know more about this Federal Reserve System that is getting ready to bail out Citadel and all the big hedge funds, check out this playlist right here where I talk about the creation of the Federal Reserve and the men who broke America. So playlist there, book club here, or pinned in the comment section. Thank you for watching. God bless.